Let's go. Hey everyone, I am MSK, aka Master Swag King, coming at you guys today with another video. And if you guys are returning viewers or new viewers, then please consider subscribing to the channel if you have not already. Leave a like on this video if you enjoyed it and comment down below. Also, make sure you guys hit the notification bell. That way you guys can get notified on whenever I upload a brand new video or go live. And in today's video, we are going to be talking about Venom: The Last Dance, the third and final installment in the Venom trilogy, which is in the Sony's Spider-Man universe, which began back in 2018 with the release of the first Venom movie, followed by Venom: Let There Be Carnage, Morbius, Madam Web, and then we are now having Venom: The Last Dance come out, and then to end off the year, we will be getting Kraven the Hunter. And then after Kraven the Hunter comes out in 2024, we pretty much don't know anything about where this Sony's Spider-Man universe is actually going to lead. Because like I mentioned in my previous video, this universe already started off bad and wrong in my opinion. Starting out the Sony's Spider-Man universe with a Venom solo movie having no ties to Spider-Man with the symbiote is actually just so stupid. And the only reason why we're here at this point is because the first Venom movie that came out back in 2018 went on to gross over $800 million at the worldwide box office. And Sony saw those numbers and went, man, we really got a cash cow here. People really like Spider-Man villain movies without Spider-Man in them. And then you've seen the box office for each movie within this universe go down and down and down. And we're also getting low numbers for Venom: The Last Dance as well. So for me personally, I will be watching this movie on my next day off. I didn't get a chance to watch this movie opening weekend because I was actually working 6 days and I just didn't have the time or energy to just go to the movie theater and do my, full day of going to the movie theater series that you guys love. But I will be doing it for this movie on my next day off coming up. So, Venom: The Last Dance is reportedly supposed to have 2 post-credit scenes, actually, which I don't know what they're supposed to lead to. Apparently, there's going to be some, Spider-Man crossover eventually, which makes no sense anyway. Spider-Man should be the focal point of the universe, since it's literally called Sony's Spider-Man universe, right? So eventually, we're probably going to see, this universe's Venom with a different actor, probably crossover with the MCU. We know Noel appears in this movie, which might be a big bad of some sort villain for a potential MCU crossover. I don't know what Sony's planning on doing with this universe. We've heard rumors that they're going to potentially even reboot the universe, and rebooting is stupid because you had nothing of significant value worth rebooting other than the fact that you started out a Sony's Spider-Man universe without Spider-Man, with some of his rather iconic villains, without him in it. And then these movies portray his villains as good guys, actually. So whenever he were to face them, you think of them as good guys, so why would they be suddenly bad guys to him? The universe is stupid, if we're being completely honest here. So this movie's finally out, and the Rotten Tomatoes score has been released. Venom: The Last Dance releases with a 38% critic score and a 77% audience score on Rotten Tomatoes. So, as you guys know, for me, Rotten Tomatoes is a mixed bag. Now, I do want to make sure I preference this. Rotten Tomatoes is not necessarily calling Venom: The Last Dance a 38% movie on a grading scale. This is a review aggregate website. People kind of always get that confused. They take all the reviews of all the verified critics and all the audience members, and they come up with their own scores. Now, there is a third separate category that they've recently introduced, but that's how Rotten Tomatoes works. Because I figure, maybe the average person just doesn't know how Rotten Tomatoes works actually. Now, we're going to go over some of the reviews here. We're going to go over all critics, and then we'll go over some of the audience members, actually. Because it looks like, based off the Rotten Tomato score, we are actually getting basically two varying degrees. Maybe the general movie-going audience really might enjoy this as a popcorn flick movie, and the critics didn't care for it at all. But I'll be honest here, like I said in my other previous Venom video, Venom, the first movie, is pretty bad outside of like the very last scene where he's like, Eddie, at this point, we can do whatever we want. Like that scene. And then it led into the Eminem Venom song. I couldn't tell you a good scene in Let There Be Carnage. Maybe when Carnage first appears and he did that like tornado thing. I mean, Morbius certainly was cinema, let me tell you that. Very not good cinema. And I didn't bother watching Madam Web, so that should tell you that, right? So, let's go over some of these reviews. This is from Maria E. Gates. She says, this is the weakest of the three. Shit. Man, this must be absolute trash then. Mostly because it has too many action set pieces and not as much alone time with our favorite dysfunctional couple. I mean, were the first two very action-based? Not really. I mean, I'll be honest here, that was kind of the more balanced parts of them, honestly. They knew how to basically blend the action with the character development, but still not enjoyable, right? Wang Yi Ling says, the low-stakes adventure has nowhere to go except into the mandated comic book action climax. It is a confusion of slimy, tentacled computer effects as Eddie/Venom, plus every character new and recurring. Paul Keelan, your enjoyment of the film may depend on how much you ship Simbrock and how much that can carry through. James Grebe, in a franchise full of Spider-Man's wannabes, the one most associated with Spidey ended up being the most successful because it was about a true connection rather than tenuous connection between multiversal IP. So, I'll say something to that. The only reason why this could work is because Venom as a character is so insanely popular. The reason why they even started out the universe with Venom is because he's a character that has not just a lot of, like, people that like him, but it's a Spider-Man villain that has stood out from his numerous appearances in, obviously, the famous comic book series where he's from, Birth of Venom, obviously, and then you have, obviously, the Spider-Man animated TV series, which a lot of people like myself as a kid watch, which really love Venom, honestly. And even though people don't like Spider-Man 3 because it's not a good movie, the Venom appearance there, I imagine, skyrocketed his catapult into more people getting to know who the character is, honestly. So, them also putting out other, like, not as known villains just sealed their fate, honestly, because and to be fair, you can't really do this with a lot of villains pertaining to a lot of characters unless you're doing this for, like, Batman, Superman, X-Men. I mean, Flash could probably work. Yeah, that's it, honestly. But, people confuse, like, a villain being known for them being good. There's a lot of known villains. That doesn't make them good, obviously, but, to each his own, obviously. Luis Martinez says, so bad that it seems to be done on purpose. Okay. Damon Fudge says, Venom the Last Dance continues the tradition of being better than the previous one. It's a roll-licking adventure that's not only a great wrap-up to these characters, but it's simply good old-fashioned entertainment for entertainment's sake. Yeah, I mean, the people that talk good about these movies only really mention them from a aspect of, like, okay, they're just like popcorn flicks. They're like so bad they're good. But I don't even think they're so bad they're good. I just think they're bad because they're just not good. Charles Pullman Moore says, The Last Dance doesn't exactly deliver on the iffy but intriguing comic madness Sony has been teasing. It does bring this gooey, gory bit of ridiculous adaptation to a fitting end. I mean, so from what I've seen and gathered, most of the reviews are kind of putting it like, okay, it's pretty bad, but at least it has a satisfying conclusion for this character that people have been following since 2018. Alright, this one says, the endless space monster battle suggests more than anything else digital cockroach frenzies. From Kurt Loader. Roger Moore says, well, that's enough of that. Thank you very much. Okay. Mike McGranhan. an appropriately awful finale to one of the worst movie trilogies ever. Oh yeah, I mean the first two are pretty bad. So even if this specific movie was good, that wasn't gonna change anything anyways, honestly. Sure, there's a ton of PG-13 violence and lots of explosions, but The Last Dance is still more of an affectionate tango than a hardcore mosh, coming from Richard Roper. So yeah, these were some of the reviews from all the critics that I hit. Let's go to all audience since we went over critics. So let's check out some of what the audience members are saying. So from Nick, verified, says, I love it. I thought it was funny and a lot of action. And that's like kind of the problem with some of the audience reviews is, yes, these are going to be people that are more like, your mom and dad's going out to movies when they leave their kids home with a babysitter, or like a dad taking out his daughter because she got a good grade on a homework assignment maybe. I don't think people are looking at movies from this category for most audience members. I think the audience is good at telling you like on a surface level why they like the movie, but they couldn't go into depth with it. Like, I don't like many critics, but at least a critic can go into depth sometimes about why they don't like a movie, whether you agree with it or not, but at least you kind of can somewhat understand where they're coming from. Like, when it comes to audience members, they just type very surface level stuff, and it's like, oh, okay. But, sometimes the audience and the critics disagree, obviously. That was from Nick. Edwin says, I like seeing all these symbiotes. This has to be body. There's no name on that one. I'm clicking on it right here on my screen. There's no name there. Wow, what a great movie. Romeo A, a great movie. Love the relationship between Venom and Eddie. James Jamar P, the plot and end was a very poetic and creative to have humanity saved by an alien sacrifice. So okay. So they're basically admitting they just killed Venom, sacrificed in some way. I mean, Tom Hardy plus loads of symbiotes. Richie. Dylan says, might be the worst movie I've ever seen. So yeah, it's pretty varied amongst these people here. Alejandra Negrete Lopez says, why did Venom have to die? Okay, well, I mean, I don't really care for spoilers all that much unless it's some super serious, intriguing thing to the plot. So Venom dies, apparently. Enormous Richard. Possibly the best written of the three Venom movies, way better than the second one. It opens up some possibilities and parks some other things. Really good fight scenes. Okay. Most of these are just like 5 out of 5 stars. Anthony G says, good movie, but needed more. Felt like an incomplete movie. Yeah, because I don't know where this universe is going. Are they rebooting? Are they just gonna shift a new potential like Venom character between the MCU and Sony Spider-Man Universe movie? Keep in mind, Tom Hardy's Venom appeared at the end of, he actually appeared in No Way Home after Venom Let There Be Carnage, but in the final scene of Spider-Man No Way Home, he left a piece of Venom there, right? So they would ultimately have a different carrier of the symbiote anyway, and different people have carried the symbiote in the comic books as well. There have been multiple Venom wars in the comic books where different people have had the symbiote, but most people only know Eddie Brock as the symbiote's primary carrier, I should say. So yeah, if you're looking at the ratings between critics have mostly been shitting on the movie if you're looking at the average critic, but the audience members have been pretty fair about the movie in terms of like, this is why they liked it on a very surface level, but that would be the general consensus for both parties, right? So I mentioned this in the last video, and I really wanted to hone in on this one. The first movie did pretty well. Opening weekend, $80 million, highest amount of theaters you can get, which is the 4,000 plus range. Domestic, huge haul by the time its box office run was over. Internationally, carried the movie even harder. $856 million worldwide for that first movie. Then you see a similar overhaul domestically when the movie's over in its box office cycle, an even higher domestic opening, but that international audience was absolutely slashed in half from the first one to the second one. It goes to show you that people didn't really like the first one that much because there's no way you can sit here and justify this of a drop from a movie. That means word of mouth carried so much between the time the first movie came out versus the second one, and enough people went, yeah, these are not good. but there's enough there to make up for what I call this profit. It's really hard to. I think the second one broke even. I don't think it made profit because the first movie's budget is about $100 million. This one's about 110, I think. No, this one's I think 80. This one's like 110. Doesn't really matter, honestly. So 110 marketing budget is probably around like $80 million. I wouldn't peg this as a profitable venture for Sony, in my opinion, right? So then we have the overall box office number of what this movie needs to make. So Venom: The Last Dance, I think, is at $120 million for a budget. Let me see what the budget is for it. Venom: The Last Dance. Let's do budget. I should have probably had this number up here to start the video off, but you guys are fine. All right, Venom: The Last Dance's budget is $120 million before marketing, okay? So let's do Venom: The Last Dance marketing budget. I'm pretty sure this is not revealed anywhere. It's really hard to find these, honestly, because most news outlets just report that the movies carry the box office price tag, you know? So it's not consistent that they actually advertise, you know, the marketing budget because, they would be getting fucking destroyed, obviously. So, yeah, I don't see anything here for a marketing budget, but it's always keen to look that up because that also is added to a budget price tag, too. It's basically, you gotta make your money back plus marketing in the 2 to 3 times range. So if this movie has a box office of about, what? I would say it needs to hit what the first one did, and then some, to make money, right? So let's do, what's it, 120? So we gotta do a calculator. Let's do a calculator. Okay, calculator. 120 million times, we'll go lowest end, right? Minus marketing. So we need 240 for just going completely lowballing it, right? Now, plus marketing, probably gonna get into that $300 million range, maybe 350. But we're talking like a full profitable venture times 3, because, you know, theaters take their cuts all around the world. America's theaters, international theaters. Yeah, this movie needs to be taken in like $500 million worldwide, like the first one. Now, I don't know if that's profit for them, because it's really hard to judge stuff with numbers that close. I'm pretty sure it's just a break-even point. Oh my god. I don't want to organize my tabs. I want to just be disorganized. I'm just kidding with you guys. What Venom: The Last Dance costs to make and how much it needs to succeed. Venom: The Last Dance is set to be the final Venom film in Sony's Marvel universe, and the film is already looking to make a fair amount at the box office when it releases this week. Now keep in mind, this movie is actually tracking to open less than the other two. $80 million for the first one, $90 million opening weekend between the two. This one's tracking to be the lowest. With early reactions to Venom: The Last Dance calling the film epic, fun, and flawed, the story seems likely to resonate with audiences. However, audience engagement with superhero cinema appears to have changed in recent years, and it becomes difficult to speculate on exactly how much of a success or failure Venom 3 might be. In a year that has not had many superhero movie releases, it is hard to know exactly how audiences will respond to the new Marvel release. Rumors have suggested Spider-Man could appear in the film, which would likely result in higher box office returns, although this could also depend on the actual significance of said cameo in the movie. While Deadpool and Wolverine was an enormous success and has become the highest grossing rated R movie of all time, Joker Folia Ducks has been a colossal failure for Warner Brothers, leading to speculation about superhero fatigue and the success of the next Venom film. So yeah, I have my 2 other Venom Joker Folia Ducks videos coming out very soon for you guys. I did not forget about the movie, and neither did I forget about the Borderlands final box office video either, because that's another thing to talk about in future videos. So expect more consistent content coming out. Venom: The Last Dance carries a fairly modest budget for an enormous superhero movie, which sits at $120 million. According to Variety, this follows the path of the other Venom films, with the first installment estimated to cost between $100 to $116 million, and Venom: Let There Be Carnage costing $110 million. Compared to the other movies in Sony's universe, the Venom films have had higher budgets than Morbius, $75 million, or Madam Web's, approximately $100 million. The results, however, have justified this increased cost. Still, This starkly contrasts with features like Joker Folia Ducks, which carried a $200 million price tag. These outsized budgets have become commonplace in the superhero genre, which they shouldn't be. I mean, if you look at some of these movies' quality, I saw Joker 2. I don't know where that $200 million went. Oh, I know where it went. Todd Phillips chose to just film in LA where things are much more expensive, and most of the film's budget went to basically Joaquin Phoenix, Todd Phillips, and Lady Gaga. So seeing the Venom films find great success without quite so inflated costs, it's refreshing. With a budget of only $120 million, it seems quite likely that Venom: The Last Dance will be able to find success at the box office in a way that some other recent superhero films have not. Costs around movies and details on when they reach profitability are often hazy. Much of studio accounting is done to cleverly maneuver around paying out back-end deals in many cases. However, the general rule of thumb, which is certainly not universal, is that a film reaches profitability when it has grossed around 2 times its production budget. Yes, this is true. They're not lying here. But the thing here with this is that they're probably not going to... Well, they're probably talking about marketing costs. The marketing costs associated with that makes it much more difficult to reach profitability when you're tying that all in. This is because of a split of the grosses between theater owners and the production studio, as well as to account for marketing costs. Yes, so that's why I always say, like, needs to make times 3, because you have your theaters have to make their money, all the theaters, the place you put this in, distribution costs and marketing. So, like, especially with the budget and marketing costs, like, 2 times isn't good enough anymore. You got to be making a lot of money here. Following all of this, Venom's bar for success with the latest film is not incredibly high. If the film grosses above $240 million in total, it will likely be profitable for the studio, following the incredible box office grosses of its predecessors, with Let There Be Carnage making $506 million during the virus moment. It seems likely that the new film will be able to make a sufficient balance by the end of its run. According to Deadline, Venom: The Last Dance is currently tracking for an opening weekend of $70 million, while other projections see it as low as $65 million. This is currently the lowest opening in the franchise after Venom opened to $80 million back in 2018, and its sequel opened to $90 million in 2021. Although it is certainly not a bad number, with the shine and luster of the franchise now established and no further plans for the Sony Spider-Man universe currently clear, other than Kraven the Hunter, the film may be the lowest grossing of the franchise. And we knew that would come. I mean, these movies, the Venom ones, do not really carry any significant good, like, word of mouth at all. Sorry about that. I just want to get rid of that ad. With that said, interest in the film has been fairly high, and the film is slated to introduce the Venom villain Null. If reviews are positive, it would not be unreasonable for the film to come between the grosses of the first 2 Venom films, although a more realistic final gross prediction might be around $400 to $500 million. This would be a decent success for the film, although it could be slightly lower if audience interest does not survive the first weekend. Yeah, so basically the movie just survives off word of mouth. If it's like the previous 2, it'll probably just land at a $400 million mark, $500 million lowest, or it could just be even lower than that. I personally think the movie's going to cap out at $300 million. How audiences respond to the film after the opening weekend remains to be seen. Venom: The Last Dance will likely be a decent hit for Sony, as the film's cost is not too high for a big budget superhero adventure. Connections to Spider-Man and his universe have clearly interested audiences in the past, at least with the Venom movies. Yeah, they just want to see Spider-Man fight Venom. That's their biggest play right now. That's all they got. Is we're gonna have Spider-Man fight Venom. That's it. Crazy. It's disgusting. In all likelihood, Venom: The Last Dance will become one of the bigger hits of this fall and provide a fitting end to the trilogy, even if it fails to gross at the level of its predecessor. So, I mean, I'll have to just see about all this stuff after I watch the movie. And we've known this with a lot of movies similar like Venom, is basically a movie like this could come out and be very just divisive, mixed reception between critics and audience members alike. But the thing here to keep in mind is if it has enough decent word of mouth, people might go and check it out and see where it's going and seeing where it's going to land at, because I kind of want to see where they're going to take the universe to, despite me knowing mostly is, yeah, this has pretty much been a complete train wreck, actually. So we finally have what the movie made in its Thursday night preview. So most people go to the movie theaters on Friday, Saturday, Sunday, right? Because that's the weekend. But keep in mind, if you don't know this, movies come out Thursday. There's this thing called Thursday night previews, actually. So we have a little bit of the numbers right here. Box office. Venom 3 makes $8.5 million in previews, lowest of the trilogy. So this movie is tracking to have the lowest opening weekend in the trilogy. It has the lowest Thursday night previews for the trilogy. That's not a good sign. For the last time, Tom Hardy's Venom is swinging his way to the box office. Sony's Venom: The Last Dance, the final movie in the Spider-Man villains trilogy, has made $8.5 million in Thursday previews at the box office so far. The threequel is on track to make $65 million in its opening weekend, which would be the lowest debut of the trilogy, comprised of the original 2018 movie Venom and its 2021 sequel, Venom: Let There Be Carnage. The Last Dance is on track to launch with $180 million globally and has earned $35.8 million worldwide so far. Even though the Venom movies don't cross over with Tom Holland's Spider-Man in the MCU, they're proven to bring out their hardcore fans despite being unpopular with critics. The third movie carries a fairly modest $120 million budget, so it stands to recoup that and more after this weekend and has more international markets at it. The first movie launched with $10 million in previews before making $80 million in its opening weekend. It went on to earn a massive $856 million worldwide, paving the way for a sequel and more Spider-Man villain spin-offs, for better or worse, mostly for worse. Venom: Let There Be Carnage ramped things up with $11.6 million in previews and a $90 million opening during the pandemic, no less, when many theaters were still shuttered. It still climbed its way to $506 million worldwide. Now Hardy and the writer-director Kelly Marshall are sending Venom off into the symbiote sunset with Venom: The Last Dance, picking it right after Let There Be Carnage. Hardy's Eddie Brock and his parasitic pal Venom are fugitives on the run from the US government and alien monsters from Venom's homeworld. The cast includes Juno Temple, Chiwetel Ejiofor. Yeah, I'm pretty sure I just butchered all that. I'm not going on these names. Good lord. Holy crap. Fucking names. Oh, yeah. So, you had a decent cast there, let's just say. So, yeah, Venom 3 has currently made, $35 million, and it's tracking, to do, let's see right here, before we go, let's do the last one. Venom, The Last Dance. Let's go. Where's Venom at? Venom: The Last Dance. Let's see what it's made right now before I end this video. Domestic total's not there yet. So far, it's just made $35 million worldwide. Okay, so the domestic opening is predicting $65 million. So yeah, looking to have that international box office carry this movie like, well, the other ones have as well, because the international box office definitely dropped off with the second one. So that's it for me in this video, guys. Do you think Venom: The Last Dance will actually be a box office success for Sony? And do you want to see more Sony's Spider-Man universe movies? I sure as hell don't, because these movies fucking stink. They make no sense logically. They are just so bad narrative-wise, constructed horrible. Just let this franchise just die off, and we know Sony is going to attempt to reboot this franchise because they are just dumb and they don't know what they're doing with Spider-Man anymore, outside of basically, hey, we have to have Tom Holland in the MCU. That makes us a lot of money. We can sure make good animated movies with Miles Morales. That can work. But the other stuff with Spider-Man has not been working. I mean, recently with Sony, I don't know the numbers on Spider-Man 2, that new Insomniac video game, but that video game carried a budget of $200 million, and we have not heard anything about that game being a success on PlayStation 5, actually. So, I don't know. They're just so hard stretching to keep the Spider-Man rights by releasing these Spider-Man adjacent properties. Just keep the rights. Even though they could clearly make something good, they just choose not to. So, yeah, I hope this universe fucking dies and burns after Kraven the Hunter. And that's where the franchise is going to end. Kraven the Hunter. Holy motherfuck. I would have just shifted Kraven the Hunter and had Venom end off the universe just because Venom started it. But that's just how I would do things, because obviously that makes more sense logically, but as we know, these people don't think logically. So thank you guys for checking out this video. If you guys are returning viewers or new viewers, then please consider subscribing to the channel if you have not already. Leave a like on this video if you enjoyed it and comment down below. Also, make sure you guys hit the notification bell. That way you guys can get notified on whenever I upload a brand new video or go live. I am MSK, aka Master Swag King, and I'm signing out, guys. See you guys later. Deuces. Peace.